Hey everyone, I recently stumbled upon a fascinating creature from Filipino folklore, the Aswang. It's a legendary shapeshifter that's been haunting the imaginations of the Philippines for generations. Today, I want to share its chilling story with you, complete with all the eerie details and dark twists. Let's dive right in. In the heart of the Philippines, there existed a fear that had deeply rooted itself in people's memories, affecting the daily lives of villagers. They called it the Aswang, a legendary monster, a shapeshifter lurking in the shadows, searching for prey. For generations, whispers of this creature spread among the people, leaving an enduring sense of dread. The Aswang was said to be a master of disguise, transforming into an enchanting woman, a grotesque beast, or even a predatory bird. Yet no matter its guise, its hunger for the pure and vulnerable remained unchanged. In the province of Capiz, where stories of the Aswang were deeply ingrained, there was a small village. It was surrounded by dense forests and rolling hills, and the villagers lived in simple wooden and thatched houses, leading lives steeped in tradition. However, amidst the calm, an inexplicable unease began to loom over the village, like a creeping shadow. It all began with the arrival of a stranger. He was a man with a charming smile, but there was an air of mystery about him, as if he carried some unspeakable secret. Almost immediately after his arrival, strange occurrences began in the village. Livestock was found slaughtered, drained of blood, and the once tranquil nights turned eerie. The usual sounds of rustling leaves were replaced by the snapping of branches, the distant cries of owls, and mysterious noises from the woods. It was as if the stranger's arrival had awakened an ancient evil that had long been dormant, waiting for the right moment to strike. The villagers began to whisper. Some claimed they had seen strange shadows moving at the edge of the forest, while others spoke of hearing ghostly cries late at night. The elders, especially those who had grown up with tales of the Aswang, grew more wary. Lola Pilar, in particular, sensed something was wrong, as though a dark presence had entered the village. She warned her neighbors to be cautious, to secure their homes at night. Though she never explicitly stated her suspicions, it was clear she believed a dark force had come among them. The change was most evident in Maria's life. Maria, a young woman nearing the end of her pregnancy, had moved to the village to live with her husband Thomas and his mother, Lola Pilar. Thomas was a hard-working farmer doing his best to provide for their growing family. But as the days passed, Maria found herself overwhelmed by a growing sense of fear. She would often catch the stranger staring at her, his gaze filled with a chilling intensity that made her skin crawl. She had tried to brush off her feelings as mere pregnancy anxiety, but the fear only grew stronger until it was impossible to ignore. Thomas soon noticed his wife's distress. He did his best to reassure Maria, staying by her side more often and fortifying their home late into the night. He would hold her close, whispering softly, "I will protect you and our child. I won't let anything harm you." But despite his comforting words, Tomas was also plagued by worry. There was a sense of helplessness gnawing at him, a sense that an unseen enemy was closing in, one he had no way of fighting. One night, Lola Pilar called Maria over and began to tell her an old story, a story about the Aswang. Lola Pilar spoke of how the Aswang could shapeshift, disguising itself as an ordinary person by day, only to reveal its monstrous form at night. She mentioned signs of the Aswang's presence, animals making strange cries, unexplained movements in the woods, the sensation of being watched. As the story unfolded, Maria's heartbeat quickened. She realized that the stranger might indeed be the Aswang. Fear clutched at her, cold sweat trickling down her back. She began to worry for her safety and, even more so, for her unborn child. To protect Maria, Lola Pilar taught her the ancient methods of warding off evil. She gave Maria garlic to hang by the windows, its pungent aroma known to repel the Aswang. She instructed Maria to sprinkle salt around the house, salt that would form a barrier the creature could not cross. Finally, she placed a vial of holy water by Maria's bedside, a weapon against the darkness. Lola Pilar's movements were steady and deliberate, filled with deep conviction. Maria watched, her fingers trembling as she held her growing belly. She prayed silently, hoping that these ancient protections would work. The attack came quickly. In the dead of night, Maria was jolted awake by strange noises. Something seemed to be flapping on the roof. The air felt unnaturally cold. She peered through the window and saw a shadow perched on a tree, its eyes glowing with an eerie light. The figure was twisted and hideous, its limbs elongated, its face filled with hunger. Terror washed over her, her body frozen in fear. Maria screamed, waking Lola Pilar. Lola Pilar rushed over and, without hesitation, threw holy water toward the creature. There was a blood-curdling shriek as the shadow leapt into the night, vanishing into the darkness. Even after the attack, the fear did not leave Maria. She felt fragile, her sense of security shattered. That night, Thomas held her as she trembled in his arms, feeling powerless. He had promised to protect her, yet she was still terrified. He silently vowed to do whatever it took to keep his family safe. The next day, the villagers gathered. Last night's events left no doubt. The Aswang was back. Tomas and some of the brave villagers decided to confront the stranger, whom they suspected of being the monster in disguise. The village was tense, everyone holding their breath as they watched Thomas and the others make their way to the stranger's hut. But when they arrived, they found it abandoned. The stranger had vanished without a trace, leaving behind a few belongings, among them a piece of cloth covered in strange symbols and a half-empty bottle of something foul-smelling. The mystery deepened, and the villagers began to doubt. Had they been wrong all along? Perhaps the real Aswang was still among them, hiding in plain sight. That night, as Maria and Lola Pilar prepared for another attack, there was a knock at the door. It was Isabella, a friendly neighbor who had always been kind. She said she had come to check on Maria, but Lola Pilar's instincts told her something was off. Isabella's eyes seemed different, hollow, devoid of warmth. Lola Pilar discreetly sprinkled some salt near the doorway, and Isabella hesitated, her expression briefly twisting into anger before masking it with a forced smile. Maria watched, her heart pounding. There was tension in the air, a silent understanding between Lola Pilar and Isabella. Maria felt the same primal protectiveness. She couldn't let anything happen to her child. Lola Pilar realized then that the Aswang hadn't left. It had merely taken on a new form, hiding among those they trusted. The true danger was not the stranger, but someone from their own village. Lola Pilar calmly invited Isabella inside, her voice steady, masking her fear. She needed to be sure. As the night wore on, Isabella's behavior grew more erratic. Her gaze lingered on Maria's swollen belly, filled with an unsettling hunger. Maria's unease grew, her skin prickling with dread. Lola Pilar gave Maria a subtle nod, and Maria discreetly reached for the vial of holy water. In an instant, Isabella lunged at Maria. Time seemed to freeze, Maria's heart leaping into her throat. Lola Pilar reacted swiftly, throwing the holy water at Isabella. The water sizzled on her skin, and she let out a monstrous scream as her human facade fell away, revealing the twisted form of the Aswang. At that critical moment, Thomas and the other villagers burst in, wielding their bolos and salt. Seeing the terror in Maria's eyes, Thomas's determination burned even stronger. Together, they fought off the Aswang, forcing it to retreat, wounded, into the night. After the battle, the village gradually returned to peace. The villagers, having faced such fear, felt a renewed sense of hope. Lola Pilar sat beside Maria as she cradled her newborn baby, a symbol of new beginnings. "The Aswang is gone," Lola Pilar said softly, her voice filled with calm confidence, "but it will return. As long as there is darkness, there will always be monsters lurking." Her words served as a reminder that the danger was never fully gone, and vigilance was the price of their safety. The villagers continued to pass down their stories, their traditions, and the ways of defense. The legend of the Aswang lived on, but so too did the spirit of the village, unbroken and unafraid.